The divorce rate among straight couples is about 40 to 50%. Among gay couples, men and men, it's about 30%. Among lesbian couples, it's about 70%. Now, if we're saying that men are the problem in relationships, why is the divorce rate among women much higher than men and women and men?
Ooh, hold on. You may have missed it. Pay attention. One more time.
Divorce rate among straight couples is about 40 to 50%. Among gay couples, men and men, it's about 30%. Among lesbian couples, it's about 70%. Now, if we're saying that men are the problem in relationships, why is the divorce rate among women much higher than men and women and men? Now, we know women initiate divorces more, so that's what they're saying is the reason why the divorce rate among women is so high. But again, if men are the problem, why is the divorce rate that much higher among women and women? What do you guys think?
What do they think? You know what they think? They think that they don't have to answer this question because I barely see chicks here in the comment section. Isn't it always strange how when a real conversation like this happens, they're nowhere to be found? The modern chicks. If you see videos talking about the decline in marriage rates and you have these chicks talking about they're opting out of marriage, the narrative a lot of the times from modern women's perspectives is, hey, men aren't kind. They don't know how to have healthy relationships. And we would rather be single, build these communities of women. You guys have heard this. They want to build communities of women because we can get along a lot better without men. But these studies disprove all that. This isn't the first time we've heard studies like this that talk about the negatives of same-sex women, female couples. They also have a high rate of DV cases. What about that? That's what the people have to say. Top comment here says 2 words, Norah Vincent. Go look her up. I think this was the woman who tried to become a man, if I'm not mistaken. And she ended up deleting herself because of how lonely she said she felt. Yeah. Yep. This was her. I don't know. Let's play a video by her. Why not? Why not? We're already this deep. Here we go.
Because we don't have testosterone in our systems, we don't understand how hard it is.
Throughout the project, Ned dabbled in the art of picking up a woman.
Where'd your friend go?
We went with him to this bar, wearing hidden cameras.
It's my friend JC, I'm Ned.
Nora was reminded that in this arena, it's women who have all the power.
We sit there and we, just with one word, no, will crush someone. And the thing is, we don't have to do the part where you cross the room and you go up to a stranger and say the first words. And those first words are so hard to say without sounding like a cheese ball or sounding like a jerk or whatever else.
Barbara was trying to dispose of Ned before her friend returned from the bathroom. Nora, as Ned, also went on about 30 dates with women, mostly arranging them on the internet.
So this woman who transitioned into a man went on these different dates and talked about how difficult it was. Now, a lot of people are saying, hey, they could probably tell, so on and so forth, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure to some women, they probably just said, oh, I'm just going to assume that this is probably a dude, right?
Do you have any fun?
Rarely.
She says the pressure of Ned having to prove himself was grueling.
My prejudice was that the ideal man is a woman in a man's body. And there are a lot of women out there who really want a manly man.
Nora thought the perfect end to her 18-month saga was to join a men-only therapy group.
They don't get to show the weakness. They don't get to show the affection, especially with each other. And so often all of their emotions are shown in rage.
Nora began to empathize with the fear and stress men feel for having to always be the strong provider. In the final ritual of the weekend, the men were to act out the problems unearthed at the retreat with a partner.
And you asked that he harm you.
Yeah, I did. At that point, I was starting to really kind of crack up. I was really...
You were asking this guy to cut
me. So
Wait, what? Why?
Self-mutilation is very much a female thing, and I think it was my way of paying the penalty.
Nora was not harmed physically, but she continued her emotional descent, and a week later checked into a hospital with severe depression. Identity, she concluded, was not something to play around with.
when you mess around with that, you really mess around with something that you need that helps you to function. And I found out that gender lives in your brain. And I really learned that the hard way.
But her views about men have changed forever.
Men are suffering. They have different problems than women have, but they
I know this isn't supposed to be funny, but to any man who's watching this, to see a chick think, okay, the perfect man is a woman who is in a male body, and then get proven wrong, because you would think that, hey, you would know how to handle the male experience. It must be so great, only to find out that men are going through moments of loneliness and they have to prove themselves. And this is kind of humorous because it proves that what you hear over and over again is so wrong.
they don't have it better. They need our sympathy, they need our love, and they need each other more than anything else. They need to be together.
Do you think women understand what it's like to be a man?
Not at all. No clue. No idea.
The irony is not lost on Norah that it took a trip into manhood to help her appreciate her own femininity.
I'm so much closer to myself than I ever was, that I really like me. I really like being me, and I really like being a woman.
She ended up killing herself after like a year and a half of this because she said she was treated so horribly by women that she couldn't even believe that this is how men lived. And I was like, no fucking way. But I can see it. I can see that you guys don't speak up. You don't say the things that we need to hear because you want to love us. You want to support us. You want to be there for us. But you guys are supposed to be. You're supposed to be the strong one. Yeah. You're supposed to be these things. And yet we've been fighting to be your equal, fighting to be the alpha, fighting to be, and out of kindness, you guys are stepping back, but it's a losing war for both of us.
Listen, I wasn't expecting to go into a deep documentary on this. This isn't the first time I've actually talked about this, but I wasn't expecting this. Saying that she couldn't handle how badly she was treated by women and offing herself from that experience. There's a lot of layers there, a lot of deepness. Top comment says, Norah, R.I.P. Norah, the only woman who fully understood us. Somebody else here says, understood so much she couldn't handle it. Here's somebody else says, there's so much education here, and I'm here for it. Another person who says, she went out like one of us. Here's somebody else who says, this woman is a hero. To all men, my heart goes out to her family and loved ones. I wonder how much more men, because here's what I think happens. In many cases, I've seen chicks who, the transitioners who transition and they're women, and they usually stay within the same community. They usually keep the same communities around them. I don't think they simply just surround themselves in communities where they just are fully men, and you can pretend, you can get close, but you can never truly understand what it's like to be a man for real, because you're not one. And the closest one that probably got to that was probably chicks like this who could change the outside appearance to the best of their abilities. Man, I did see a recent video. I saw a recent video of someone who got, here, I'm going to show you this video. Now, this right here, wait till you guys see this. This right here is probably the most manly transition I've seen in my life. Let me see. Damn. Okay. I can't seem to find it. Where is that video? All right. I can't seem to find it. Okay. Let's check out some of these comments. So this comment here says, because who is going to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong in a lesbian relationship? Somebody else here added, logic plus emotion equals 50%. Logic plus logic equals 30%. Emotion plus emotion equals 70%. Here's another person who says, apparently the abuse stat is similar. Somebody else here added, as a married lesbian, I would say women are probably more likely to let it end. Divorce isn't always a failure. Sometimes things just don't work out. Okay, perfect example here. Perfect example is once you prove something that, like, hey, maybe modern women and the feminist mindset is the more difficult party within a marriage, they now want to change the rules of the game, right? How do you measure a successful marriage? They really truly, you could say a successful marriage is one that has God in the center. Well, not everybody, necessarily believes in the same God. Okay. The only measurable way, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this, the only measurable way to determine whether a marriage is successful or not from a macro perspective, when they do stats, guys, follow me here, is did you get divorced or did you not? Right? There are no stats for are you happy? Because it depends on when you ask that couple whether they're happy or not. There are no stats for do you feel fulfilled or are you good parents? Right? That would be a difficult thing to measure. And so here I'm saying that's the measurement is divorces. And that's how everybody approaches this conversation. That's how you judge the performance of children long term that come from broken households versus households that stay together. They stay and fight no matter what that takes. As long as no one's getting severely abused in that situation, those children have a larger chance of being successful in society. But what do we see? Back to this comment. We see that when a stat is proven, now they want to change the name of the game. Divorce doesn't always mean failure. It's like, no. We're talking about divorce, a failed marriage versus one where people decided to keep going, working through it, and both said, hey, I want to stay in this. I want to keep fighting. I think we can keep going with this. Guys, of course, I'm curious to know, what do you think? Comment down below. Listen, to my currently engaged, soon to be married men, or maybe you're proposing soon, if you need a prenup but don't have any guidance of where to start, head over to fathershaverights.com. Our guide helps you get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, teaching you the correct steps you should take before you hire your attorney. Appreciate you. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.